Hey, welcome everybody. We're getting ready to get started here in just a second, but like I said, for anybody just joining in, we're just waiting for Anna and Aaron to come and join the call. I see Aaron just joined in, so now we're just waiting for Miss Anna Selby.
I'm here with Aaron.
Yay, there she is. Oh, they're in the same room.
Yeah, we're at the office today. Is that okay?
That's perfect. That's awesome. Cool. So, Anna, I'm going to mute myself and shut up so you can do some talking, okay?
Sounds good. So are we live and ready to rock? Hold on. All right, can you guys hear us now? Okay. Aaron. Hello, guys. I am Anna Selby, and this is Aaron Pearson, and I want to thank everybody for actually hanging out with us tonight. So if you're wondering why we are here, basically we're here to teach you guys the importance of email. I think it's, we were just talking about this on our live stream, right?
Yeah, like 2 seconds ago.
We think that obviously with sales, it doesn't matter if you do sales or anything in general, but email and the written word is definitely a lost art. And we feel that obviously with social media engagement, we can connect and we can cultivate, but with the email, you can actually convert and close.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, email is a better way to establish an ongoing relationship. It's easier to be more consistent. There's less of a barrier. I mean, people use their email today like they use their text message. They use it as a notification center. So it's critical to be in that space and not just try to hope that by being in their news feed that you're gonna create that relationship with them.
It's a direct connection, if you will, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a direct connection. And then obviously later, Jody is going to be rocking. And if you guys haven't checked out the Business and Brewz, there's an event going on in Portland, and one of you lucky individuals are actually going to win a free ticket to the event on March 18th and 19th.
Yep.
So
I was going to pull that up on the screen, but yeah.
Here, I'll give you this. So essentially what we're going to do next is, if you guys aren't familiar with Ben is amazing, and we feel fortunate. I mean, you just came across him, right?
Yeah. Anna just kind of introduced me to him. I did a little bit of social research, and yeah, I mean, I'm honored to even be, sharing experience and knowledge on this topic. So this is awesome.
Yeah, so we're way stoked. So for you guys that don't know, Ben is absolutely amazing. I could call him, I hope he doesn't mind, I'm going to call him a copy king. He is a copyright king. He is a master with words and directly connecting and deriving a response out of your engagement. He has one of the highest open rates. Now, for people that aren't familiar with email, a lot of people just I guess you could say delete and spam it. But when you get an email from Ben or the way he teaches you, he actually has the highest open rate. So he's definitely going to teach us today about how basically to do 6 figures if you're writing 1 email a day, which we talked about again on our live stream. You guys, if you're able to post up on Facebook or one of your feeds or send a text a day, there's no reason you can't be doing an email a day.
Right. Yeah.
So
critical.
Absolutely. So with that, Jody, do you want to head over to Ben?
Yeah, let's get Ben talking.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
So yeah, so I was thinking maybe we could put Ben in the spotlight for just a bit and let him share some of his killer advice. And so what we can do is while he's talking, I'm going to go ahead and open the chat box here for everybody, if I can find it. I think I may have already done it. Anyway, I'm going to open the chat box, and you guys can ask Ben questions. So while he's talking, go ahead and chime in and ask your questions. We'll keep track of them. We'll try to get all of them answered. Don't feel stupid about your questions. I remember when I first started doing any type of email marketing, and I was doing it all wrong. I was scared to ask Ben questions because I thought some of them were really dumb. But anyway, no questions are stupid unless you're like totally off track and talking. Try to keep it to email because that's what he's here to answer questions about. So while he's talking, chime in, get those questions coming in because I'm going to be the judge. I'll be the person that looks, and I'm going to look for a couple things like don't just ask like a one-off question just hoping you're going to win the prize. Like it's a really awesome opportunity to come out to this event. It's actually a 3-day event, Anna. If people want to come out early. No, it's okay. It's actually a 2-day event, but we're asking, the speakers to come in a day early, and people can actually hang out with them at the meet and greet the night before, which is St. Patty's Day, which is going to be like right down the street from an Irish pub in Portland. So it's supposed to be super awesome, like a great time to get into Oregon. So sorry, I don't mean to do all the talking. I'm going to turn it over to Ben. Ben, if you could share some of like maybe how you got started in email marketing and what value there is there. Just tell us like some of your, some of your killer secrets. That would be awesome.
Okay. Well, first of all, there are dumb questions. So any dumb questions will be ignored. You guys are not likely to probably ask dumb questions, but really there's only dumb questions, not dumb answers, at least when I'm doing this. Also, I'm going to be giving anyone who asks a good question, or even a semi-good question, or just a question that's not a dumb question, I'm going to give you a free copy of an ebook I wrote a few years back called Blue Chip Email Secrets, and it's $19 on Amazon, but once you've asked a question, Jody will get your email address, and then she'll send you the link. So ask questions, because this is why we're here. And I don't really know what to talk about otherwise. I mean, I could just sit here and blab on about whatever, but I want to know what you guys want to know, because I don't want to talk about irrelevant things that you already know, or maybe you don't have enough context to know what I'm talking about if I start giving away ideas. So, do you have any questions yet?
I think I might have accidentally not enabled the Q&A section or the chat section.
No, you got chat enabled.
I do. Okay.
Q&A I just enabled the Q&A. So either way,
okay,
in the chat or the Q&A,
awesome.
Michael Perone is a new email player subscriber, so he's automatically going to get a free copy of Blue Chip Email Secrets. Okay.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Can you send that to him? Michael, send an email to what email do you want people to send it to, Jody?
Well, they can send it to me, Jody, Jodi, at jodyardito.com. Or they can just find me on Facebook and shoot me a message.
Okay, so Michael, send her an email and she'll shoot the ebook back to you. Stacy Snyder, what are the best subject lines to get people hooked in opening an email? Stacy, you were on the border of asking a question. I'm not going to say it's a bad question, but it's way too vague. So give me an example. What do you sell? And then we can help you write a subject line for it.
I have a question while she types it out. I know that Jody was talking about the secret way that you use Twitter and you blend that into your email. What did that mean? Because I know that was a question that I actually got a few PMs about. Is a secret way of using Twitter to knock out extremely profitable emails almost at will?
Well, okay. So if you're on Twitter and you're following a bunch of people in your market, or you're just exposed to news and all this, and this would probably work for Facebook too, they're handing you email ideas. Whatever somebody's emotional about, or whether they're complaining or they're happy or they're angry, is even the best ones. Like right now, you could write about Donald Trump and you will get lots of people reading your emails because people love him or hate him. So in Twitter, I like to follow a lot of thought leaders and that type of thing. And I love just taking things that people get really angry about or controversial about. I don't do this a lot on my bensettle.com things. That's different. But in other things, other markets I write in, like weight loss and people with prostate problems and that sort of thing, I love tying things that people get emotional about and tying it to whatever it is I'm doing. So, for example, anything that you see on Twitter that's trending, you could work that into a subject line, and probably people are going to want to read what you have to say, especially if you can make a connection between two things that are never talked about. So Donald Trump's prostate secrets, or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whatever, I mean, or Bernie Sanders' weight loss tips, or whatever you want to do. Bernie Sanders' sex drive problems. I don't know. Whatever it is, but people will read that kind of stuff because they're not used to seeing it.
We're just going to use that subject line anyway. It's not even going to be relevant to anything.
Absolutely.
I think anyone would open that email.
I would think so. I would open it. Well, there's one of my favorite. I wrote this subject line a few years back for people with the prostate problem issue. The first emails Yoda's sex drive tips or something like that. Yoda, this wrinkly old green thing, you know, and it's like, what the hell is he going to teach you? And it gets open and it gets read, and people, if you have a good offer, people will buy.
That's perfect. Brand disruption, baby.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. Did they go in? I think Stacy went ahead and clarified her question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few questions in here.
Awesome.
Can you guys see the questions? Because I can't. Like all of
do you want me to read them out?
Yeah, it's all gone for me.
Okay.
So
Robert says, there seems to be quite a difference in opinion on the length of emails to send daily to list. What is the optimal length, Ben?
Okay, so there's people's opinions and then there's facts. So I'm going to give you the facts. And what I like to tell people when they ask this question is the length of an email should be like a woman's skirt. Be long enough to cover, short enough to get attention, but long enough to cover the details. So if that's 5 words, fine. If it's 500 words, that's fine. If it's 5,000 words, do it. The only thing you can do wrong, and this is the only, an email that's too long is an email that's boring and nobody wants to read. An email that's exciting and interesting and it's talking about something that's relevant to the people reading it, you could go on for 10 pages. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it comes out to just interest. Are you interesting or are you boring? If you're boring, 10 words is too long. If you're interesting, 10,000 words can be read. People will read a Stephen King novel in like one night because it's interesting to them. But people will they won't even look at like a government bulletin that's one sentence. It's like, who cares what this has to say? Because it's like so boring. It looks like the copy on the back of a cough medicine bottle or something. So length is just however long it's got to be. I like to generally keep mine under 300 words, not because of any rule or anything like that, but because I like to challenge myself to cut words out just as a writer. In fact, here's a good exercise for anybody. Take your next email, no matter how long it is, and try to cut 100 words out. It'll force your brain to start thinking of ways of writing things, to combine ideas together in unique ways, and to say more with less words. It's a very good thing to do. I think I heard Stephen King talk about this, that the second draft is just your first draft minus 10%. But with email, try to make your second draft should be your first draft minus 100 words. If you can do that, you're well on the way.
Awesome. That's rad. Do you want to read?
Okay, so I have a question. And it's kind of, so I know a lot of the people that joined us here are people that are, hanging out with Anna quite regularly. They're probably in real estate, Anna, is that right?
Yeah, real estate.
Okay, cool. So, Ben, real estate is a super broad thing. Like, maybe they're like loan officers, maybe they're selling houses, maybe people just jumped on randomly because they saw it on our Facebook thing. But I want to keep it to real estate. How, like, if you were in real estate, how would you make yourself fun and interesting? And people are probably getting 100 messages from different people about houses. So how do you set yourself apart?
Okay, so I've actually helped people in real estate before, and here was the advice I gave them. Now, I don't know what kind of emails people are sending. If they're just sending like information on properties or whatever, but if you have a list, and you could build a list of just local people in your town, and you just talk about houses, like and stuff that goes in houses, and little tips and tricks for like having a better, safer house or whatever, or more secure house, or a cooler looking house, or interior design tips, or ways to save space, helpful things like that. That even if somebody's not looking for a house now, they're going to remember you giving all these tips, and when you do have something to sell, you're the only one they're going to think about. And if you're asking for referrals in every email, it's even better. But let's say they are looking for a house. Now, you're the helpful person because you're not talking about how they put this. You don't want to talk about drills. You want to talk about how to drill better holes, basically.
Got it.
So instead of selling houses like, oh, you need this house or that house, you just talk about interesting things to them. Like right now, my house has a problem where the person who sold it to me, they didn't fix a roofing problem. It's like leaks. If somebody sent me an email like, hey, here's how to deal with a leak in the interior of your house so you don't have black mold running around your wall or whatever, I'd read it, and I would remember the person who sent it. And if that person is making it very clear they sell houses, who else are they going to go to? I mean, that person is there, top of mind status, every day with helpful, interesting advice and tips about things that are related to houses. Of course, if you have a hot list of people are looking for a house, you can attack them more aggressively. But I'm just saying overall, you want to be the helpful person. You want to be like the advisor that they go to when they have any questions related to real estate. No matter how distant the topic seems, you can always tie things to whatever you're selling.
Perfect. That's a good way too. I agree with that. That's a good way for all the real estate agents that are on there, because I know that we have several on here. That's an excellent way to nurture your sphere. The past clients that you have already sold a house, because oftentimes, I think it was actually, who sent it to me today? Somebody sent me something today where they talk about oftentimes real estate agents are so closed-minded that they think that the relationship ends at the sale. You got the commission and you leave, and you forget that cultivation and the farming that you can do through email and staying top of mind. So that's a huge point.
The one thing that I want to just go back on to really quick that you mentioned, Ben, which I really agree with 100%, is the idea is to stay top of mind to these people. So with the consistency, and then that person knows that you're in whatever industry it's in, whether it's real estate or you sell cars or whatever, if you're providing them valuable information, when they go to make that purchase in whatever that industry is, they're going to remember you because, yeah, it's just that light bulb goes off. So, I mean, consistency is so critical for your personal brand, for people to make that connection.
And I don't know if you can find this book anymore. I found it in some like bargain basement thing. I don't even remember where I found it. It was called The 10 Greatest Salespersons. It's written like the 70s or something. The first chapter has this interview with Joe Girard. The guy's like sold more cars than anybody else. Anybody selling anything should read this, especially I would think real estate, because he sold like 6,000 cars a year when the average car salesman sells like 60 or something like that. And they ask, well, how do you do it? Well, he makes the experience so great for the buyer. Like, he takes care of you. He'll walk you and your family into his office. He'll introduce you to all the mechanics and stuff. And he's like, look, if you ever have a problem with that car, here's my card. You call me personally, and I'm going to set up with the mechanic. And you know, if they bring their kids in, he's got like lollipops waiting for him, and you just like the guy. And he would get so many referrals. It's like he never had to cold prospect because he'd have all these referrals coming to him. So if you be that person, and with email, this is very easy because now you can give cool tips and information about anything related to real estate. You know, just because I'm talking about Yoda's sex drive sticker, it doesn't mean you have to do that. I mean, I'm a big fan of infotainment, where you combine information with entertainment. You don't have to like do that kind of stuff. Like, some people are like they're worried about their professional image, and all. I get it, but you can always tell stories. You can always be interesting. If you know your market, this is a very, very easy thing to do. I mean, get inside the mind of someone who's buying houses. You know, what insecurities do they have? Oh man, I got to make sure it has this, or my brother-in-law is going to like make fun of me or something. Whatever it is, I don't know what you guys would know. But find out these little tiny insecurities that home buyers have. And I'll give you an example. This isn't a real estate example, but you'll get the idea. When I was in the weight loss niche, we sold probably, I think it was 40% of the list we sold on our product, which is actually pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty, by any stretch of the imagination, that's pretty good. One of the things I would do is I would just make lists of insecurities that people who want to lose weight have. Not so I can be mean or like, rub it in and be a jerk or anything, but because I know that if I can get in their head, if I can show them I understand what you're going through, they're going to buy from us. And I'll give you an example. I used to go to forums, and you could probably do this with real estate actually. Go to Google and type in real estate buyer forums. So just so that you want to go where buyers are, where people are looking for houses, where they're congregating on the internet right now, where they think that it's anonymous, because everybody thinks the internet's anonymous, right? And so they're going to go off and talk about everything that bothers them. They're going to name names. They're going to be angry and all this stuff, or happy if they had a good experience. But you want the people who are ridden with anxiety. Like, it's a big purchase buying a house. I mean, I just bought a house. This is a pain in the ass. So it's like you go and you find these people. Now in weight loss, I would go to the top of the forum where you can sort by the number of views a thread has. They don't all have that option, but it helps. Now you're going to look, if you sort it so that you see the most viewed threads are at the top, you will notice those are the most viewed threads in the forum. Those are the ones with the hottest topics. And sometimes they've written your subject lines for you. There was one where this lady was talking about how people were tagging her in her heavy pictures on Facebook. She's trying to lose weight. She is busting her ass to lose weight. She's eating right. She's trying, but she's got like these passive-aggressive so-called friends who are like tagging her on purpose on Facebook in her heavy pictures, trying to discourage her because, like anything, if you if a crab tries to get out of the bucket, all the owners try to pull him back in. So I said, holy crap, that is like one hell of an email topic. And I looked at the lady's story, and I basically just retold what she said, what she was going through. That email made us so much money, but even beyond that, one of my friends is one of the highest selling affiliates in the weight loss niche. And I said, go ahead and use it. I'm not in that niche anymore. And he said he had like the biggest launch he ever had just using that email. And it wasn't because, oh, Ben, I'm some genius. No, it's because I looked at the insecurities in the market, and I wrote emails about it. I told the story. So think of the insecurities that people have when they're buying a house. Write a story about someone who has that insecurity, and then segue into how you can help them with that. And it's not a hard sell. You're not pitching a bunch of benefits. You're simply saying, I know you're going through XYZ problem right now. Here's how I help somebody else deal with it. If you want my help, here's my contact information. Let's talk, and maybe I can help you. And if I can't, I'll refer you to someone who can. That takes all the pressure off. You don't look like a vulture. You don't look like you're trying to oversell. You're simply trying to help people. And once people know that you want to help them, they will buy from you.
Providing immense value, right?
Yeah. We have a bunch of other questions too. Which one was it? We were on Sam or Stacey?
We are on right here because we had asked Stacey to clarify.
Okay.
So Stacey wanted to clarify what niche she was in because what was her original question? Do you have it on there? I'll let you touch it because I break things.
I already broke my.
So she asked what was the best subject line. You said be more specific.
Yeah.
She says it's a fitness entertainment competition called Rush Club.
Which is badass, by the way. I went to that. It's a CrossFit competition.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the emails will have event tickets and merchandise available.
This is easy. This is like, if it's, let's just say it's CrossFit. First of all, you should make fun of CrossFit to people in CrossFit. It'll get attention. You see the joke, like, the first rule of CrossFit is to tell everyone feet of you. To write an email about that because they're hearing that joke all the time. But, don't make fun of it for very long. Just, have fun at it. Just have a little bit of fun at the expense of what you're selling. And then segue into whatever it is you do. Let's talk about politics again. Now you could talk about who's the best CrossFit, Bernie or Trump. Talk about how Hillary could use a little CrossFit. She's got a can. I'm just saying. Talk about in the entertainment industry. Have fun with some actors and actresses. This is easy. I'm not saying you have to just do this. I'm just saying that those are ways they're going to be fun to read. People are going to read them.
Yeah.
And just always segue into what you can do for them. But it starts with the market. An email has to start with the market. It can't start with what you're selling. It starts with the market. So imagine there's this quote that's been going on for years for salespeople. Don't tell me about your weed killer. Tell me about my crabgrass. Right? So someone who's got crabgrass or any problem, you can't talk to them up. My dad, who lives down the street here, for some reason his yard is plagued with molehills. Like there's a mole there that's like something out of like science fiction or something. It's just making all these like constant holes everywhere. You could not tell him too much about molehills. Like he would talk your ear off about it. If he got an email saying, I can help you with some, a molehill related type email, he's going to read every word of it. So think about your market. What are the problems there? What are the pains there? What are the insecurities they have? And if you can relate it to some current events, even better. But I love stuff like that because current events are all over the place. Like you just go to Drudge. In fact, here's a tip. Go to drudgereport.com. Now, Drudge is like one of the most viewed news sites on the entire internet. It's butt ugly. It looks like somebody made it in Netscape Composer. I mean, it really does. I think they did. And yet it's all headlines. And those headlines are getting all kinds of views and all that. So, I mean, you could go. Sometimes in one of my Facebook groups, I have this Facebook group called Street Smart Business. Sometimes I'll just go to Drudge and I'll copy the link to one of the stories and I'll post it in Facebook and say, here is an email just handed to you guys, talking about whatever the topic is. There's the weirdest topics you'll ever see on Drudge Report. So
I'm looking at them now. Oh my God.
Anna.
Yes.
It really is the ugliest website, huh?
It's
so ugly.
That's pretty bad. Maybe that's the key to it. We just need to have, as real estate agents, like the butt ugly websites.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because I'm waiting for someone to test that. Now, I say this because in I don't know however long I've been doing this, since 2002, whatever. I have yet to see a case where pretty beat ugly. Like ugly, and it wasn't just me. Like I've asked other people about this. Like Ken McCarthy, who's like the founding father of internet marketing. He's like every time and he talked about this at this Titans of Direct Response event, which was a couple years ago. And he's like, ugly just always was not ugly like you want to purposely make it ugly, but just bare bones. And in weight loss, like everyone in weight loss, it's all like before and after pictures and pretty graphics. Ours was like the ugliest site you could imagine, and yet we sold like crazy. So in real estate, do you really have to? I mean, just be approachable. Like, yeah, there's this thing that salespeople have. It's called be unokay, right? Like you're a little unokay, people are more likely to buy from you. So an example would be, there was this story I heard about this lady who was trying to get a job, right? And she's really nervous, and at the end of the interview, she dropped her pen or something, and she's all nervous. And the guy at the job interview picks up and goes, "Look, relax, you got the job." Because she was just a little she was approachable, she was normal, he wanted to hire her. Ronald Reagan, who's called the great communicator, right, like in the 80s. Yeah, he bumbled out, like half the stuff he says bumbles and getting facts mixed up, whatever. Why? Because he was a little unokay, and people loved that about him. He wasn't perfect and highly polished. He's a good actor and all that, but maybe he did it on purpose, I don't know. But I have noticed in direct marketing it works great too. So if I have a misspelling in an email, I don't care. It makes me more human. It's almost like if you have not purposely misspell necessarily, although I do that sometimes too, but it makes you more human. Back in the old days of direct response, okay, back when the masters used to do this stuff in copywriting, like back in the 40s and 50s, they would purposely like make mistakes in the spelling and words, in the context or whatever, grammar, because it made them more human, and they found out that sales would go up. So now take that to real estate. I'm not saying to have an ugly site necessarily, but what I'm saying is be human, be real, and don't have to obsess. Nobody's expecting perfection. In fact, the great copywriter Gene Schwartz, one of the best copywriters ever lived, he said, in a world of beauty, it's the ugly thing that stands out. He would make his layouts as ugly as he could possibly make them. And he said that as long as they were clear, as long as his message was clear, that's the important thing, he always won. And his thing was always the ugliest thing. So keep that in mind.
Definitely. That's huge.
Let's hit up a couple more questions. Here, you can ask.
Okay, this is from Ashley. I'm a longtime blog writer, 30 days into email. I'm used to writing blog titles, but email subject lines seem like a whole new sport. How do I evaluate whether or not my subject lines are any good? My list is tiny, minus 60.
It looks like it's like a.
Oh, minus 60, but yeah.
It's 60. She has 60.
Minus 60 subscribers. I don't know how that works, but.
10 extra
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm not okay. I'm in.
I'm going to give you a very easy tip for this. Okay, now I teach hundreds of ways to write subject line, but this is my favorite for people who are having trouble writing subject lines. I call it the brain fart subject line. Just whatever, the first thing that comes to your mind, no matter how bizarre and weird and ridiculous it sounds, just use it and see what happens. I do it all the time. Like the stupidest thing will come to my head, and it stands out in the inbox because you're being a little unokay. You're being a little entertaining. It's different. I mean, everybody's getting last chance or whatever. No, you just say something weird. Just say something weird as long as it's relevant to what your email's about, and you'll be okay.
I want to say what one of my most recent subject lines was what's Ben saying was like a brain fart subject line. It was, does this MLM blueprint make my butt look big?
That's a perfect example.
That is awesome. Example. That is awesome.
All right, so Jeremy's question is similar to what was asked earlier. He's a real estate agent. Would you recommend writing an email every day or choose a day to write out emails? Okay, so he's asking, do you batch your emails out, essentially?
I do sometimes. Like, for example, I have a speaking gig coming up this weekend, so I've written all of next week's emails already because I'm not going to be in town. I don't want to do it. Ideally, I like to write them the day before, but there's no like hard rule for this. I mean, you do whatever works for you. The girl who writes the emails for my podcast, she writes them like 4 or 5 in advance. It's just how she does things. Some people need to write them the morning of, or like they just do better on the last minute off the cuff. Whatever works for you is the best way to do it.
Gotcha.
And then to add to that, I mean, I don't know if you mind, but a platform that you guys can use to do that is if you're on your phone, Notepad, or we highly advise Evernote. Start storing them in Evernote. I mean, would you agree with that, Ben?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I don't use Evernote, but I do a very similar thing. If I get an idea, and Jody will tell you, we'll just be out wherever, out around town, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, I got an idea. So I get the phone, I email myself the idea, and it goes into a file. So,
Yes.
You got to capture those ideas when they come.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
That's annoying sometimes.
I've written entire novels, at her expense. Like, shut up, Joe.
All right, so those are more comments than questions. I have a couple questions for you. These are questions that I think are important to consider. First of all, do you track how many people open the emails via mobile device?
Well, you could try to do that, and you're going to fail spectacularly because Androids tend to have HTML turned off by default.
Okay.
And if HTML is turned off, the way I understand, now maybe something's changed in technology, but if HTML is turned off, it's not tracking your opens. So you may be getting more opens than you think.
Right. So what do you think as far as mobile versus desktop? Do you think that there is a higher? Do you think there's a higher open rate personally on mobile versus desktop?
Well, there is for a fact because there was an article that just came out. I don't know. It was some tech magazine, and this was just with iPhones, but this will apply to Androids, I'm sure, where like 80%. I mean, don't quote. It was like 80% of emails on iPhones are opened on iPhones, but 80% of actual transactions are done on the desktop. So, just write your emails and don't be too worried about where they're opening it or whatever. If somebody wants what you have, believe me, they're going to. Like, that's the thing. If you have the right offer to the right person at the right time, they will buy from you. It doesn't. And I know people get a little bit paranoid about this, and it's okay. Paranoia is actually good. Only the paranoid survive. But when it comes to that kind of thing, I don't get too worried about. Like, I don't even care about opens because they're irrelevant to sales. You can get. In fact, I just heard from a friend of mine. He's a computer scientist, and his name's Sanjay. In fact, I'm going to be quoting what he said in my email Sunday night. He goes, I'm an analytics guy. This is what I do. He goes, but I can tell you right now, opens as far as sales are concerned. Now, there are purposes for tracking opens, don't get me wrong, but for selling, it's not going to be relevant. It's like you can get 80% opens and no sales. You can get 2 opens and actually make a lot of money. It just depends. So I don't get too caught up in opens. Now, there are reasons to track opens if you want. Like, you can just gauge the health of your list. Like, if you're all of a sudden your opens just drop off to nothing, and you're doing everything right, probably your autoresponder is on a spam list, probably temporarily. That's good to know. There's not much you can do about it, or if it's happening all the time, constantly, you might want to change your autoresponder service. It's good for creating titles for things. There's this guy in the weight loss niche. I forget his name, but he's brilliant. He has like a list of 2 million people or something, and what he'll do is he'll split test 2 possible subjects, titles for a product, and send half his list one, half the other, whichever gets the most opens, that's the one he goes with. So there are reasons to track opens, but if sales, like for me, emails the sport and sales is the scoreboard, that's what I focus on.
Gotcha. You got some more questions? You want to ask David's question?
All right, David, I'm going to attempt to read your novel, and I will stumble. It happens.
It looks like it has to do with.
No, it's really good. It's a really good one. It's just it's me.
Series.
It's not you. I'll just let you know. I've seen some training on email marketing that teaches about having a pre-written series emails from 3 to 5, as long as 10 or more, sent by autoresponder that you send to new subscribers with the goal of selling something to them, either a course or whatever. Is this something that you recommend to do, as it is better to have the new subscriber, stop copying for a second, new subscriber just start with the next email the next day? Like, what do you do with the new subscribers?
Well, David happens to be one of my business partners, so really he could ask me this question anytime he wants. But, he's a really nice guy to come on and ask this for everyone else's benefit.
Thanks, David.
So I'll say this.
I think he wants to win the free ticket.
He does, yeah. He's got to go.
Oh, that would be cool. I think David should get the free ticket just because. But I have to be. I cannot have any say in this.
I know you didn't. We'll just retract what you just said.
But just so I have good points with David.
It's been redacted.
But there's way. Okay, so if you talk to 10 different people, you get 10 different answers. My friend Andre Chaperone, for example. he likes to have, like, he's the autoresponder guy. He likes to have it all storyboarded out, and he's got like a soap opera sequence which each email leads to the next. That doesn't work for me. Like, I just don't think that way. I like to just write them random. Like, just like I would write a daily email to someone, I will randomly put them into an autoresponder. I have them come in. The only thing they see when they come in, on my list at least, they'll get that welcome email where it's like all above the fold. Well, thank you for subscribing. Here's where you get the bribe that I give away. And I tell them I mail a lot, 2 to 3 or more times a day. So if you don't like that, you should probably unsubscribe now. Because I'd rather them unsubscribe than push the spam button, because that hurts your delivery and all that. That's the way I do it. I mean, you can do it if you want. You can do 3 to 5 or 20 if you want. Because here's the thing. As long as both those emails are selling the same thing, I think it's only going to help your sales. I'm just too lazy to do it myself. But I just write one a day and I send it out. And wherever they come in, that's where they come in. I have people come in the middle of a product launch. And some of them will end up buying just because I'm I'm just throwing emails at them, knowing the way I know how to write them. And they're good. It's all good. And then they catch on, So there you go, David.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I found that works good for me, when I was writing my book, and it's about to release on Amazon right now, the way that I distributed the introduction and some of the chapters was through a follow-up series. So when they sign up, they receive a new chapter 24 hours after they signed up, and then 24 hours after the last. And it was a good way to, instead of just sending them all this content at once, but to stay like front of mind with them and allowing them to read those chapters, in a way that I think that they could consume it better than giving them the whole book. And it actually gave me better feedback by tapering it off like that.
Yeah, and you said something about consuming. Consumption is so important that I only know one person who teaches it. His name's Sean D'Souza. He's an absolutely brilliant marketer. I call him the most underrated marketing mind on the internet. His site is psychotactics.com. I get no affiliate commission if you go there. I just think everyone should be studying his stuff. He's the only one I know who teaches consumption as a method of marketing. Now, there's a whole thing behind this, but I'll give you kind of the too long didn't read version. He'll tell you, everybody knows attraction and everyone knows conversion. Like, that's basic 101 stuff, but nobody talks about consumption. Yet if they don't consume what you're doing, they're not going to probably come back for the next thing. But if they do consume whatever you're selling, or if it's an email, if you're putting emails out there, you've pre-sold them on the next step. So I like to use the Star Wars analogy. It's better to watch Star Wars than to just come in on Empire Strikes Back. If you consume Star Wars and you see it from the beginning and you like it, you've already bought Empire Strikes Back before it even comes out. But if you come in the middle of something and you don't even know where you're at, you get confused and you're not consuming it, and you probably won't buy, or if you do, you're going to need to be sold again. Applying this to emails every day, I kind of do and I kind of don't worry about this, because I treat every email like it's the only email that person's ever going to see. This is why I don't do like this thing where people will build up to a sale. Like, there's people who teach building up to a sale. We'll give them 3 tips, nothing to sell, and then something to sell. I think that's like the worst way to do it, actually. I think it's so much better to assume they didn't see your first 2 or 3 because of spam filters or junk mail. They're just busy. They didn't see it. Whatever. Maybe your ISP was blacklisted that day. Whatever the reason why. Assume that they are never going to see you again and hear from you again. What would you do? And I would hope that you would at least put a link to something to buy and everything. But that's the thing. So consumption with emails works a little bit differently. I don't know if everybody read my last email. So I can't use that consumption model with it, but certainly with products that you're selling, it works great.
I just have a quick question. Who do you use as your service provider? Are you like an Aweber, MailChimp, Conversion, Infusionsoft?
Well, right now I use 2. I use Aweber and One Shopping Cart. I use Aweber for my upfront leads, and then all the buyers go into One Shopping Cart. Aweber's been very good to me since 2002. Okay, I'm not going to knock Aweber, but their new editor is an absolute, whoever the idiot is who made it there needs to be fired. I mean, it's so bad. Like, they're new, nobody likes it, and they need to fix that. If they fix that, I would recommend them in a second. I still think they're a good company, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that other autoresponders are any better with that, but they just had the coolest editor. I could get emails out so quick in their old editor. Now it takes me 2 or 3 times as much clicks and effort and time. It's annoying. I do like Aweber, though, but I also like to use plain text emails. I'm not a big HTML email guy. And with my Aweber, I have to go to another site called EditPad and paste my email in there and then cut it back out and put it in Aweber, because if I don't, it like triple spaces all the paragraphs. I don't know why it does that. So Aweber has its challenges, but it is a good, other than that, I think it's a good company. I would say for this, though, for people who are wondering about like what to use, all the reputable ones give you a free trial. Try them all, and whichever interface is the most user-friendly for you, use that one.
Well, I was just going to say, because of the success that you've had, I'm surprised you haven't used a technology that uses more of like an if this then that. So if you give them two options, hey, do you like the color blue or do you like the color red? If they click blue, they fall into another category. You know, like a tagging type thing, which is what Infusionsoft, ConvertKit, and I know Aweber is about to enable that for their system, but there are other questions. I don't want to get off.
Let's talk about that for a second. There is a tool for Aweber called AW Pro Tools. I'm very biased in this because my friend and business partner Jack Bourne, it's his baby, but it basically gives Aweber Infusionsoft like powers at fraction of the cost.
Gotcha.
I do that stuff. I do it. We do it in other things I'm involved in, like on my podcast and all that. But just like for someone just trying to get started, I don't like to bog them down with all that.
Right.
Okay, and then for agents, tie it back because I know we have some real estate agents. You guys can do the same concepts in the real estate platforms. You can do this with Big Purple Dot.
Yep.
You can actually set up your autoresponders in Big Purple Dot and Conversion. So just so you know, I know they're talking about all these other servicers. You don't necessarily have to go get the Aweber or Infusionsoft. You can actually do it directly in your CRM database. I know Conversion has something where you can build out a buyer script and tag them. And then also Big Purple Dot does the same thing for real estate agents. Oftentimes, people don't actually set up the emails there. You can do that in those real estate systems as well.
Yeah, in fact, Big Purple Dot and Conversion both, they do a lot of additional steps that are specific to real estate that like Aweber is a very I use Aweber personally for my stuff, but when it comes to real estate, like they have triggers that are designed for the instances or the types of situations that somebody might encounter when they're going through a transaction or something.
And
like
you'll
that.
know what your open rate is, and also you can put your MLS links in there for your homes, and you can see what they're actually shopping. So now you know their purchasing power.
Yeah.
So just a little.
And they're not a sponsor of our show.
Yeah,
either.
they're not a sponsor, but those are two well-known real estate platforms. So I don't want you guys to get lost in that as well.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, boom.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Do you have any more questions over there?
Yeah, we do have. Seriously, we have some more. There was
here. This is
good ones too.
There's another one over here.
Oh.
Up. This one. Where do you put links in at an email? At the top, on the bottom, or does it even matter?
It does matter. You got to remember, an email is a conversation. Okay, so I like to think of email, and I learned this from the real king of email, Matt Fury. He doesn't email much anymore, but he was the guy I learned a lot from. He calls email talk radio. Like, it's just talk radio. It's your own talk radio show. It's just, and I kind of call it talk radio on glass, or whatever you want to call the computer screen. So think of talk radio. You have a segment of a radio show. If you ever listen to talk radio, they have a segment, and then they go to commercial where they ask you to buy stuff. It's the most direct response friendly medium probably on the planet. Billions and billions of dollars are sold on radio, more than probably TV, especially direct response stuff. In fact, if you want a great lesson in direct response marketing, just listen to talk radio, like the top ones, and that's all they do. The commercials are brilliant. But you notice that that's how it is. It's a segment, and then you get some content or whatever it is they're doing. It's not really content, it's just entertainment, and then they ask you to buy something. That's usually what I do 99% of the time. I put a show on for people, and then I put a link at the bottom. I don't hide it in the PS or act like I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm very upfront that I'm going to try to sell them something. I think that it's just good to be transparent like that. That said, it's also a conversation between you and the reader, you and one person. Each email is a conversation between you and that one person, not like a group. Maybe it makes sense to put a link in earlier. Like if you were having a real conversation with someone, maybe it would make sense to put it up there. So my point is, there's no real rule to it. You just want to do it so it's like a conversation. You're not pushing it. People will just put a link at the top. Oh, look, I got my click-through rates up. No, but nobody bought. It's like you're doing what spammers do. It's like spammers get high clicks and opens. It doesn't make them make sales. So treat it like a conversation. And if it has to be at the top, great. If it's in the middle, fine. If it's at the bottom, it's fine.
Make it personable, right?
Yeah.
That's what out of it. Make it personable.
Yeah, and in fact, there's another question here. I want to kind of riff on that a little bit. Let's go up here a little bit. I'm going to read it because it was a great question. It's from Jeremy Estes. I think it was him. There was another one.
Did we miss one?
He did it all the way at the bottom, I think, right?
Oh yeah.
It was like it said last question. Oh, do you start all your emails? Oh wait, that's not the one. Oh yeah, that was the one. Do you start all your emails straight into the conversation, or put newsletter branding? I think this is a good question, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people do not agree with what I'm about to say, but it's not against the law for them to be wrong, so it's okay. Okay, just trust me. I've tested this on so many platforms in so many different ways across so many markets. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to this, and you can test away, but you want to do the A pile, B pile mentality. Now, if you guys know who Gary Halbert is, he was like one of the greatest direct marketing minds who ever roamed the earth. Okay, he many years ago just figured out. He goes, if my life was on the line, and I had to get this like piece of direct mail read and bought from, or I'd be beheaded, or one of my children would be beheaded, what would I do? Would I make it look commercial? Would I put like my branding on the envelope and all this stuff? Would I do it? No, I would make it look as personal as possible. I mean, handwritten envelope, if nothing else. It looks like it came from Aunt Betty or whatever, so it looks like a personal letter. And he called it A pile, B pile. The A pile is like everyone stands over the wastebasket with their mail. The A pile mail, which is like personal letters and correspondence and stuff you have to read, like something from the IRS or whatever. And then there's the B pile, which is like 90% of your mail, which is like, oh, that's an ad, that's an ad, that's an ad, I don't need that. Taking this to email, it applies just the same. I like to make my emails look plain text, like I'm writing a person one-on-one. Now, they may know that they're on a list. Like, intellectually, people know when they're on the list. They're not stupid. But there's that split second where it could be a personal email from me. And remember, they're hearing from you every day. Whether you know it or not, you're becoming a celebrity in their minds, the people in your list. You are a celebrity. You may not be a big one. You may be a B-lister right now. You may be a C-lister. But you are becoming a celebrity to your list. They're like, oh my God, this person's emailing me personally. And so I like to make mine look plain. Like I would write an email to my mom. That means I don't put any bolding, any italics, anything. It looks plain text. It doesn't, I'm not saying you can't use HTML, but make it look plain. And make it look like it could be a personal email at a glance, because that's what gets it read. If you put a bunch of branding in there, people will, I'll even admit right now, if you put branding in there, you probably get more clicks. For some reason, people like clicking on images, but there's no context to the click. They don't know what they're clicking to. They're going to see it and then leave. Oh, that's not for me. So you want to make it, and again, feel free to test this all you want, like a personal email, no branding at the top, no nothing. The only branding is the from line, which is your first and last name, and your email address, which should look like a personal email address. And not putting any cute stuff in the subject line where you like brackets and all that. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it takes away from the personal look of it. If you do that.
I want to just say something to that point, is that I've actually received emails that I know were sent through a service provider that said at the bottom of the email, sent from my iPhone.
Oh, God, I hate that. Yeah.
And but then underneath it says subscribe with the address if they have to legally have that. You know, so like I know that came from an autoresponder, but like they do that subconsciously to make me feel more comfortable about it.
Yeah.
You bring up such a good point here. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Now, first of all, I'm not saying it won't. It's like Jedi mind tricks, right? It works on the weak-minded. Okay, so fine. It's going to work on the weak-minded. You're going to get the people who aren't really thinkers, not. But here's the thing to think about. You have hyper buyers, and then you have skeptics. Now, here's something Ken McCarthy, who I mentioned earlier, taught. That he's been around. He's been in this game for a long time. Like he's like in his 50s, and he's been doing this since he's 16 years old. Not all on the internet, but just direct marketing. And he's figured out in all of his years, and this may vary a little on percentage each market, but 5% of, like 50% of a market will never buy from direct response. No matter what, you could offer a gold brick that you're going to send, and they won't, I can't buy that. I got to go to the store to buy everything. So that's 50%. 5% of your market will buy everything and anything. They're the hyper buyers. Those people will respond to the iPhone at the bottom, whether they care. They may not even care what it says. You know, they're going to buy no matter what. They're also the people that are less likely to even care when we're there. Now, I think he said 10, and I've found this to be in certain markets, it depends, but 10 to 25% of your market are the skeptics. And that's at least 2, if not 5 times bigger number of people than the hyper buyers. So I like to go after them. Am I going to insult their intelligence with sent from my Android or sent from iPhone or whatever? No, I'm not going to do it. In fact, I'm going to be so blunt and honest with them that they're going to think this guy can't be lying to me. I mean, he just told me not to buy, basically. You know, and I do that sometimes. There's certain people I don't want to buy, and I'll be honest about it in my email. So when it comes to the iPhone tricks and all that, like you're bringing up, and there's many other tricks, I just think it's a bad idea. And I'm not saying it won't get you sales, but I think in the long run, it's bad.
It's Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone's the one who sends me all those emails that say sent from iPhone or sent from my iPhone or whatever.
Good old Grant.
I mean, good old Grant.
Uncle G.
It should just say sent from a moron if he's doing that, because it doesn't. I mean, seriously, he's doing it probably because he thinks it works, because someone probably said at a seminar to do it. But you have to care about and respect your market. You can't talk down to them like that.
I mean, we know. Yeah. Everyone who gets the emails knows that it's an automated email. And the truth is, though, it'll also be 1 or 2 sentences. Like, it's a small message like, hey, I had a few minutes to chat. I'd love to catch up. Send from my iPhone. Address. I'm unsubscribed. Like, okay, come on, seriously. All right, we've got a few other questions here. There was one up here about, okay, how long, if people don't open your emails, do you manually take them off your list? How long should you keep those people on your list?
Okay, another excellent question, and another good reason to track opens if that's your bag. Okay, here's something to think about. Now, I heard this. I always forget this guy's name, but he's in the weight loss. He's the guy that has like a 2 million person list I mentioned earlier. And when he said this, it just made I went to this mastermind. Who was that last summer? It made so much sense. What they do, because they have so many emails, like people on their list, if somebody subscribes and they haven't opened it in the first 10 days, they move them to another list that probably never gets mailed. And the reason why is these are the people who probably signed up with a Hotmail address or something like that just to get a bonus, or they don't even know why they did it. These are the people who will click the spam, because now they're going to open the email after 30 days of never opened, see 30 emails from you, and they're going to say, who is this spammer? And they're clicking the spam button and everyone and not opting out. And that spam button, you get penalized for that with your autoresponder. If you get too many spam complaints, they'll just shut you down without even saying anything. It's like the worst thing that can happen to you. So I think that's a good question, because if you're having that problem where a lot of people aren't opening it, maybe take those people who haven't opened in the first 10 days and move them to another list. Personally, I would just delete them, but some people don't want to do that for whatever reason. But at the very least, just move them to another list, and maybe try to go after them some other way, some other time. But the one thing that I am paranoid about is getting spam, getting accused of spam when they push the spam button. Now, I mail daily. I mail 2-3 times a day. When I'm doing a launch or a special sale, I mail 17 times or 18 times in a weekend. And I mean, the more I mail, the more money I make. And I barely ever get any spam complaints. It's because I mail daily. They know who I am. I'm straightforward with everyone. I'm very transparent. I don't do the stupid iPhone tricks and all this other stuff. And none of this is genius stuff. I mean, it's just be the person that you want to deal with when you're doing business, and you won't ever have that problem. But those types you definitely want to put somewhere so they don't push that spam button.
Gotcha. All right. No, that's great, man. That's good stuff.
And when you say as real estate agents, I don't know. Something I put in my emails that actually works is I actively tell them on the end, I ask for business and I let them know, hey, by the way, if this doesn't provide value, do me and you a favor and unsubscribe.
Absolutely.
I have a call to action, get me out of your world. I don't want to be there if you don't want me there, type of thing.
Well, okay. Let's talk about that first. I know there's questions, but you know what? Yeah. This is between us three. This is our conversation. We're having fun.
Yes.
So I like to treat my lists like Jesus treats the churches in the book of Revelation. I'm not going to get all preaching. I'm going to give you a little Bible lesson. The book of Revelation, chapter 3, Jesus is very angry with these 5 of the 7 churches. He doesn't like it. And one of the churches he's angry at, he says, you guys do good stuff, whatever they're doing, but you're lukewarm. And I would rather you be hot or cold, and I'm going to spew you out if you're lukewarm. That's how I treat my list. I don't want them lukewarm. I want them hot or cold. By emailing every day the way we've been talking about, not everyone's going to like you, and that's good. You want them cold. Cold, it's good. They will move on with their lives. You're not wasting their time. They're not wasting yours. They'll go peacefully. And then you have people who are hot. They may not buy now, but they will buy from you when it makes sense. But the lukewarm people, by mailing the way we're talking about, you will drive them hot or cold, and you won't have a lot of these problems.
Gotcha.
Pre-wash them.
Yeah, love it, love it. Okay, we do have another. We actually have one more question. So here's the thing: if I'm using plain text, how should I make sure my formatted emails look good in everyone's inbox?
Okay, so don't use a table. So here's what happens. Actually, using a table is good for phones, but it looks like a commercial message when it's in where they're going to make the transaction on the computer in most cases. It looks commercial. It looks like commercial mail because it's perfectly centered and all that. Try just writing it like it's plain text and let whatever their email program will read it however it wants to read it, and that's how I would do it. That's how I do it when I do HTML. And it's weird because the most effective things are often the simplest and fastest. Money's attracted to speed. Spending an hour on an email formatting is probably going to make you much more money than just batting it out and getting it out there. So in a way, this should be very liberating for people.
Yeah, right. Just like lukewarm beer, right?
David, nobody likes lukewarm beer, buddy.
Make it hot or cold. Nobody likes hot beer either. Isn't hot beer called piss? I don't know.
It's not happening at all.
Awesome. Well,
so most definitely, obviously, thank you for the email. Now, you guys are probably wondering, how the hell do we tie this all together? Where we come from is we use social media as our engagement and the way to connect. It goes along the lines, a lot of these email tactics that he's giving you, you can use in your copy for your social media post, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even before the webinar, Ann and I were talking a little bit about even before the email even happens. My first thing that I go towards is who's my audience, right? Because we're talking about social media right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about social media. So who is my audience, and what platforms are they engaging in? What distribution channels? Some people are on Facebook, some people are on Twitter. I know when I go to a conference that everyone's engaging on Twitter. I know that if I want to speak to a technology-based company, Twitter is a great place to do that. I have the ability to do that. So by knowing your audience, you can kind of hone in and focus in on, well, what social media platforms should I be engaging in, creating content in, driving traffic back to my site in, and so on.
And it's not just copy. So when you're doing, let's talk about social media platforms. The top 4 platforms that you should really investigate and be on is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. We're huge advocates for Snapchat, which is a conversation for another day.
I'm going to snap this right now.
He's going to snap us right now. So something that I could tell you is the way to grab your user engagement is use video, right? Video is huge. If you can marry your copy to your video and image, that's going to connect, engage, and then you use the tips that Ben gave you to actually follow up with a direct response to convert and close.
Yeah.
So I think Aaron made a really good point about knowing where your users are going. Now, when you're going onto these platforms, you really have to know inside the user engagement why they're going there, behind the brain. Now, Instagram, people are going there for pretty pictures and video. So it's not so much about the words. If you're going to use copy in your Instagram, keep it 1 or 2 lines and make sure it's a call to action and it drives and directs them to another resource or a landing page or a website or back to your blog. So example for user engagement on Instagram is put a badass image or take one of your snaps and download them and put them in there, and then ask them to physically double tap for the love and then send them back to where you want them to go to sign up. Now, Twitter's huge. If you can actually engage on there, I highly recommend you start using video on Twitter as well, because if you go through the feeds, very few people are using video. Use and abuse that to get the engagement and tap into other people's pools by adding them in there. It's not uncommon where I'm doing the @ sign at Aaron Pearson, because what you want to do is get into other people's tribes, and that's a way to get in front of people that you may not have already been in front of.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, here's the thing, social media in general is the one place where people are spending more time than they are on television. They're spending more time on their social media feeds than any other place throughout their daily activity. Literally, I think the Facebook numbers, people are saying how many minutes are watched a day on YouTube. I mean, this thing right here is where everybody's attention is at. So creating compelling content. like I think we mentioned this earlier, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. You need their email address. You need their name and email address to nurture those relationships properly. Like just having followers and 100,000 likes and 10,000 downloads does not mean that they are necessarily engaging or purchasing or moving the needle forward for whatever your business goals are. So do your best to capture that name and email address.
And don't be afraid. I know, again, just to hit on the real estate agents, stop being a secret agent. It's driving me insane. You're not going to bug your people if you're talking about real estate. They're not going to remember that you do it. I can tell you right now, I joke with my dad all the time. He forgets I'm a real estate agent, but if you go on Facebook, I'm selling houses.
Right.
You know I am.
What is that? I'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Use it.
Okay.
And abuse it.
Yeah, I mean that's true. We're all about creating disruptive content. Just bending the rules a little bit. Like just don't be afraid to go out there and put yourself out there and do what you need to do.
Be the ugly oddball, as Ben said. The uglier you are, you're going to get better user engagement. So basically what we're doing here is, so you guys get an idea, use and abuse and utilize your social media platforms to get that connection and to cultivate them, and then you can bring them over and use Ben Settle's email tips to actually convert and close.
Yep.
Is there a better way I could put it?
No.
We have a tip too. This is something that we actually taught in the New School, in one of our New School videos, is if you want to know how your users are engaging, remember you had said about branding, look up your top 5 competitors on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and start watching what they do and start watching how they are eliciting responses.
Yeah, so the more you know about your audience, right, the better you can tailor content to those people. If you don't know who your audience is, if you're brand new, like Anna said, follow 5 of the top competitors, people that are competing in the space, create a persona around those people. Like I call it hijacking their audience and turning them into my audience. So once I know what their pain points are, what they're struggling with, like Ben mentioned, the emotional part, like what are they emotionally attached to, what are they struggling with, then I can create content that will drive them back so I can eventually capture their information. So, I mean, all the information that you need about the people that have your money is out there online. You just need to know how to farm that. You need to know how to cultivate that and pick that out, right? So it's all there. Just follow the path, create the persona. It works really well.
And real estate agents, if you want to know where you can find, I know that they were talking about going to forums to look up information. Zillow is a huge target. You can go in and see what the user engagement and the buyers and the sellers are saying. So I would say the top 3 for real estate agents would be Zillow, LinkedIn, and Active Rain. Start cruising those platforms and see what your users and your database, everybody's saying.
Yeah, I love it. No, I mean, I love it. I love it. Mic drop. Boom.
Boom. Mic drop.
Can I ask Ben one more question? This is like a...
He's like a kid in a candy store.
This is I think this is a good question, though, to kind of put a bow on this thing, right? Where do you think the future of this is going? When do you think email is dead and people just want to click play? Okay, when is that transition happening? Do you think that's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years?
Crystal ball action.
I know.
I can tell you what I hope happens. I hope they tax email so that I'm one of the few people out there doing it anymore because everybody's too cheap to do it. But that's probably not going to happen. I don't know if it's going to die or not. I mean, you keep hearing about emails impending death all the time. They said direct mail is going to die. It's better than ever. But I once wrote this blog post email to my list saying, email or die. And I quoted Lance from Pulp Fiction where he's like, heroin's coming back in a big fucking way. But I said email's coming back in a big way. Because email's now people are starting to realize that at the end of the day, email is still what drives commerce. In fact, here's the simplest funnel you can have. Opt-in page, sales letter, a relentless email follow-up. All the other stuff we use, all the other tools are great, but at the end of the day, and this comes from there's a lady going to be speaking at Biz and Brewz. Her name's Vicki Irvin. Her husband, Lloyd Irvin, is one of my marketing heroes. The guy does, I don't know what he does a lot. He's huge numbers. And he shared the stage with Ken McCarthy once. This was 8 years ago at a system seminar. And they were helping new people. It was a lecture for new people. And they said, you know what? At the end of the day, all the people we know and us, all 90% of the sales are driven by an opt-in page, a sales letter, and relentless email follow-up. So let's say email dies or something. The skills that you're going to use to write daily emails, you can apply to anything. I apply them to my podcast. I apply them to talks like this. How I'm talking right now is exactly how I write emails. It applies to everything, blogs, social media posts, whatever you're going to do, because it's all communication at the end of the day. You're just becoming a better communicator.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, that's a great answer. And obviously, it's not like you can predict what's going to happen in the future.
Right.
But I do think that you're right. I mean, the skill set that you're learning through creating engaging relationships with people is something that you need, whether you're creating a video or a website or an app or a book. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you're talking about fundamental principles that help create emotional connections with people.
Well, and here's the thing, too, that I think I can say, and hopefully you guys will agree with me because I didn't get your permission, but
You don't need anybody's permission.
I don't need permission, bitches. No, but something I can tell you that I've learned from experience, because I'll be honest, I'm a new kid on the block in this whole world, if you will, and we've really brought in all the online tactics and kind of what Ben does and Dan and everybody into a brick and mortar setting. Something that I think I've learned from experience is don't get caught up on the perfection. And one of my mentors told me this the other day, and it really rang true. Action, your perfection will be brought by action. So take action and get out there and write the damn emails. So what? Your first 10 suck. You're going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get good if you're going to overthink it. So stop overthinking.
Yep.
Just do it.
Money's attracted to speed, not perfection. In fact, James Cameron, the guy who's like, he directed the two of the highest grossing movies ever, Titanic and Avatar. I don't like his movies, but I can't argue with his success. And he said, I have this book of interviews that he did for various people, and I'll never forget what he said. He goes, I don't try to be a perfectionist. I just want to be a greatest. He just strives to be great at what he's doing. He doesn't try to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Even I, believe it or not, even I'm not perfect at email. So just try to be great at it. Just excel at it. Just do it the best you can. You will get better. Emails beget emails. The more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more money you'll make.
And for real estate agents, a tip I can give you, and this is something that we've learned in doing our own real estate team and online university, there are only 5% of real estate agents actually running the market. And I can tell you right now, there's not even a full percentage that are doing the daily emails or actually emailing. They provide services and send home. So if you want to stand out with brand disruption and actually get out there and provide value, send emails. And another way you can do that, and I mean, just to bring it back to the real estate realm, is get a referral list of vendors that you're using, pizza shops in the area, landscapers, and start plugging them as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the things that I always like to do was people don't just buy real estate because of the home. They're also buying the neighborhood. They're buying the schools. They're buying the entertainment. They're buying the places to eat, right? Mm-hmm. So be a source of information. Like, if you can provide them information, the other thing that we've done in the past with our email strategy is we've actually reached out to other vendors, offered coupons. I don't know if that's something that Ben would suggest, but it is a way where you're bringing in a part of the community and you're sharing information. You're being a source of information rather than just being like, hey, here's what interest rates are doing right now, or hey, I've got this home for sale at this price. Like, people don't give a shit. They really want you to just provide them value.
I mean, keyword shit right there, favorite word of the day. Yeah. Sorry, but no, something I can tell you too, again, with the brand disruption is don't keep it rainbows and butterflies. Be real. I mean, that's why you'll see on the Snapchat, you'll see the behind the scenes. If you come across a shithole house, take pictures and explain why it was a shithole house. Just don't put the address because you don't want to offend anybody, but there are ways to connect and engage with that, just being real and raw and up front.
We'll just put a lender that can qualify you for that home.
Shithole home.
Hey, so I'm going to jump in if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah. We're running on. We could talk for hours. I know everybody doesn't have time like we do, but
no, it's all good.
We have no life.
Just making sure, did we have any other questions that popped up at the last minute by chance?
No.
Fix my hair. Did any other questions come in?
I don't see any.
Can we get a hell yes in the comment feeds, guys?
Okay, cool. All right, so I just wanted to make sure because I'm going to be announcing a winner of Biz and Brewz seat here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to give everybody a chance to maybe ask any final questions, let Anna have a sip of wine.
Actually, if you'd like to know our cocktail of choice, I'm about to mind blow you. If you guys like cream soda, go out and get 3 olives, cake vodka, and mix it with ginger ale. 2 birds, 1 stone.
I've never seen anything like this until today. She's like, let me make you a drink. I'm like, okay, and I'm like, wow, this is like candy.
Yeah. And it settles the stomach. Ginger ale. Thanks, Mom.
It's pretty good, yeah.
And if you want to know what my drink of choice is similar. I call it a white trash mimosa or a trailer trash mimosa, whichever you prefer. It's champagne, and instead of orange juice, you use Sunny Delight. It's so gross.
Hey, that's a sticky subject line. Am I wrong? No,
White trash mimosa.
It goes down so easy. Anyway, so I wanted to tell everybody a little bit about Biz and Brews before we just give away the spot, okay? So first of all, we had a few people asking great questions, which was awesome. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Hopefully I can do that. Tell me if you can see my screen, okay? Can you see that?
No.
No.
No? Well, shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you now?
I want the comment.
What else?
Get those comments.
No, not yet. But
Okay, you should see the website. Well, anyway, it's okay. Ben, maybe can you try sharing your screen and put everybody on the Biz and Brews website? Could you do that?
I can try.
Sweet. So about the event, anyway, it's going to be March 17th. All the speakers are coming to Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon is the microbrew capital of the world. I had to go there and try to decide on which breweries we wanted to tour for this amazing VIP Plus event. I say VIP Plus because once you come into Portland and you actually get to the event and get your hotel room, everything else is pretty much taken care of. I mean, I'm doing like fully catered lunches every day. We have a VIP cruise. We have a VIP brew tour scheduled with Hummer limos coming in to take everybody that's attending this event, and they're going to actually take you to the different breweries in Portland. So we've chosen them all. We have a fully catered dinner after the brew tour. We're gonna like keg it up at this place called Fatheads, which is super awesome. I'm thinking about.
We all belong there.
We all
have big heads.
Yeah. So and the speakers at this event. I know Anna, you guys are gonna be there attending the event. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
We're in.
awesome.
And we're wearing green on the 17th.
Awesome. I need to remember to buy something green. So we're actually going to, Anna, are you going to be doing a roundtable there to show me and everybody else how to use this Snapchat thing?
Yeah, we will be doing a social roundtable, if you will, and basically our motive and our goal is to get you set up foundationally on the top 4 platforms.
Awesome. I'm excited about that.
Away with it.
And Ben may not admit this, but he's actually on Snapchat now.
All my friends are going to your guys' pages, by the way.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's changed a lot since I was on a few years ago, but we'll see if it's of any value. I'm excited to hang out at your roundtable, though, and learn about it, so that'll be fun. We have speakers. Dan Meredith is coming in, and he's going to be teaching people, including you, if you guys come out to this event, how to build like a massive following using Facebook groups. So that's pretty cool. We have, like Ben said, Vicki Irvin's coming in, Ray Higdon, Diane Hockman, Shane Hunter, Ryan Stuman. I mean, the list goes on. Ben's showing you all of the speakers right now, so that's cool. Thank you, Ben. Hopefully you guys can see that. Can you see it, Anna?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good. Anyway, so this event normally is the ticket price right now, if you were to go to this site, is $1,375, $1,375. But Anna and I have put together a little special offer for all of you people here right now. So one person's going to get a paid seat. So that's not free. We're actually paying for you to attend. Obviously, this event has been well thought out, and we want to treat everybody really well. We have a cocktail party lined up on the final evening of the event. So really, truly, like once you get here, we're going to treat you good. And you're going to get, you know, the people here are people, everybody coming in to speak has like had a massive impact on my professional life. So, for example, Ben, I mean, he's the one that got me into emailing daily, and he's the one that pretty much got me into copywriting as a freelance copywriter. I mean, Ray Higdon has had a super awesome impact on me in my blogging. So I have a private blog that I do, and I'm getting ready to launch my own product, so it falls in line with what he's teaching. These people are just incredible, so I encourage you guys to really consider taking the time to come and network and create some valuable business relationships and do some awesome deals. I know I'm excited about Anna being here too. And anyway, cool. So what Anna and I put our heads together, and we have some special offers. First of all, Ben had a little idea here right before the webinar that anybody who asked a question at all is going to get his blue chip email secret. So we're going to make sure that everybody that asks questions gets that. Don't worry, I'll figure it out and make sure you get it. And then, who was the person, Anna and Aaron, who asked the question that Ben really liked?
That was Jeremy, right? Or
was it Jeremy or David?
There were a few questions that you said, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So,
Jeremy asked several. I think I answered 2 of his questions, and they were all. I mean, everybody asked a good question.
That's what I thought. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just going off of memory here, and I know you did say the name Jeremy a couple times. So whoever Jeremy is, let's hook him up with the paid seat. And then
Jeremy.
Everybody else who wants to come to this once-in-a-lifetime event, the event's going to happen every year, but this is truly like the only time we're going to get all of these speakers in the same room at the same time. So you're going to have access to some amazing brain power, and you're going to be able to take that with you. And before you even leave the event, we're going to have so much time together that you're not just going to be sitting in this training room like, boring training all day. Ben has even threatened he's going to like shut down the microphone if it gets boring or if people go over time, because really we all know like the best deals are done in the bar, right guys?
Yep. So, and we'll be snapping you guys the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I have my video people that are going to be recording the event. I have another guy who's coming in. He's shooting like a big video production thing at the event. It's pretty epic. So anyway, for you guys who are still here with us and want to attend Biz and Brewz, I'm going to give it to you right now for half off, but you got to take advantage of that this week. So the offer closes on, I'm going to close the offer. What do you think, Anna? Sunday midnight?
Sunday midnight.
You think, Ben? You think that's good?
I was going to be like 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
I know. I'd give him until the end of this thing, but I'm mean like
I was going to do that.
All right, we're going to do Sunday at 10:21 p.m.
10:21. You're crazy.
Until Anna does her last snap, okay? No.
Yeah, and then we're going to get into like, oh, I thought you meant Pacific time. So anyway, I'm going to stop broadcasting myself here now. Anyway, so anybody who takes advantage of that, I mean, it's a super awesome smoking deal. Don't wait, though, because I really am only selling 50 spots to this event, and I think right now I have like a little under half of those left. So grab a seat while you can, and we'd love to see you and hang out with you. Talk more about email.
And I mean, I can attest to that as the new kid on the block. I would think we were talking about this, Jody, because I was like, how the hell do I play a part in this? But in getting involved with these individuals that are going to be here, I can tell you, Aaron can probably attest to it too, we've been able to take a brick and mortar real estate business, bring it online, and not only leverage us, but monetize off it as well.
Yeah, massively. I mean, digitally, like, when it comes to teaching online, like, you're talking about a global platform rather than a local. We're not limited by local anymore, right? And the internet allows us to do that, and so does email.
So if you're coming to this event, it's really going to be your gateway entrance into thinking outside the box, and you're going to have all the key players there to help you.
Yeah, and we get to drink beer.
We'll give you a.
I mean,
we'll give you a hug.
Business and Brewz, like, who couldn't? I mean, that sounds epic. Like,
yeah, and we'll live stream.
So,
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And hey guys, can you guys see my if I type here in the chat box, can you see me? You see that? I just said hi.
No, I think you sent it personally to us. Not them.
Okay. Well, that's all good. I just want to make sure that everybody has the right link to get that specific offer for the half off, because if they go to bizandbrews.com, they're not going to be able to get it there. So I really want to make sure that they.
You can PM me because we're on my laptop. If you have my info. Or
there's the link. Make sure everybody gets it. Maybe put it out in the chat box right now for everybody. And since mine isn't working, that sucks. And then can you make sure that Jeremy,
yeah,
connects with me on Facebook so I can get some info from him and make sure he gets a spot.
Yeah.
Jeremy, are you gonna be there? Cause you just announced that mine were totes the best.
Mine were totes my goats.
Totes the best.
Either way, yeah. Even put in your email address so we can reach out.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Awesome, guys, and for everybody here, thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. I hope you got some value.
Yeah, and thank you, Ben, for sharing your expertise and knowledge, man. I mean,
seriously,
it was awesome.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to use the Yoda, what was it, Yoda specs positions.
Well, I'm going to implement Trump has prostate.
Dude, it's happening.
Our emails are going to get down.
You know, my God, you guys are in real estate. Trump's like the real estate king. I mean, you could do a different Trump email every day. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even wait.
I love it. I love it. It's awesome.
Definitely. You ready to work out?
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Ben and Jody.
Thank you.
Brewz. Bye-bye.